we're back after more than a month's hiatus. We didn't find much to talk about for a couple weeks, and then I was in California for 2 more weeks, and I was packing light. I needed to bring back a lot of cannabis products. I needed space in my luggage, and
He's a weed head now.
yeah. But I'm a weed head, but I can only do the legal stuff. So I can only do it when I go to California or somewhere where people have medical cards. I'll do other people's legal weed, but I will not buy it illegally.
Well, it's safe to say that despite the hiatus, Stitch Gang is still #1 in 86 countries. Boom. I was able to throw it in now that we were able to redo it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so hello, Bulgaria. We love you back. And now we're back as a podcast. We have made money. We sold our Twitter handle for an undisclosed sum. So check out at Stitch Gang on Twitter. It's this dude and his girlfriend, and they react to shit. They love XXXTentacion. So they're kind of on the same beat as us, but they react to other stuff too. So if you like reactions and you like couples bonding, check them out. They gave us a little bit of scratch for at Stitch Gang, the Twitter handle. And so now you can find us at Stitch Gang Pod. Though I forgot. I used that as a placeholder, and I want something better.
I'm still a little sour because they've been around for a less amount of time than we have. And they have amassed quite a following, but I think reaction videos are like the hot new thing. So I'm not too surprised.
Yeah, they're YouTube. I mean, the guy has been on YouTube for like a really long time, because I found them like before when I was just searching YouTube, and they have so many subscribers. We started in like November, and they started in May, and they're already way more popular than us. So.
I mean, rightfully, they probably could have like taken the name from us at some point anyway, but like,
no, I don't think they could have just
capitalism,
taken it.
baby. I mean, they probably would have come for it eventually. You should have held out, and we could have gotten $100 out of it. They have like 11,000 subscribers. So
yeah, they probably have some.
I know that like
AdSense money.
They monetize that shit.
Yeah.
So I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, we got a little bit of scratch, and we'll reinvest that into Stitch Gang. But today, the reason we're back, the reason we were compelled to dust off our mics and my Zoom recorder here is because Travis Scott has shaken the world with his 3rd album, Astroworld. And
it's the #1 album.
The #1 album in the country for a week or so. And we had to talk about it.
Once deemed our arch nemesis. Yep.
Yeah, he's a villain of Stitch Gang, and this is the first album he's had out since we've had the pod, and so let's give him a fair shake. I mean, I guess I said on an earlier episode my least favorite rappers were Travis Scott, Big Sean, and 21 Savage. So we're 2/3 of the Trinity we have here now. So hopefully,
I'm surprised there was no Big Sean feature at all.
Yeah, you would think. I don't know. He's not like one of the go-to guys. The go-to guys are like Future, Young Thug, Drake, Weeknd,
21 Savage,
Migos. I feel like
who are also there.
They're like they're like the top tier feature guys. Like you expect to hear them. Future's not on here, but like whatever. There's enough straight up ad libs to cover that territory.
And Gunna's on here, and I feel like he's quickly becoming one of those like A-list features now that he's like gaining traction.
Yeah, that would be. And I mean, that would be nice.
I'm not like hating that.
Gunna's such a fresh breath of fresh air on here. He's actually probably the best rapper on here. I gotta be real.
And he's on a track with probably the second best rapper on the album, Nav.
So yeah. Oh, we got a Kid Cudi.
Credit to Travis Scott for like allowing like Nav to sound somewhat tolerable.
He was not tolerable, but
he more tolerable than usual, I imagine, because it's only like maybe 30 seconds of him.
Yeah, it was a very short verse. It was weird.
Yeah, But on Travis Scott's previous record, on the song "Beebs in the Trap," he's actually pretty good on that. Like he sings the hook on it, and it's pretty catchy. If you haven't heard it yet, I would advise you check it out. And I think, and then the music video and his Coachella performance later that year were the times I got to see what he looked like, and I was very taken aback. But
Yeah.
let's stop because we've already spent half an episode in the past hating on Nav.
Let's get the Travis Scott hate going. So this is weird. This is the way that I'm thinking about this album is that 7 years on from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, we have Mike Dean's protege and in album mode, and there's a lot of echoes of that record here, and more than I've noticed in Travis Scott's features, there's a lot of Kanye here in his verses, and I think part of that can be attributed to Kaida Prince's writing. Kaida Prince is on all over the writing credits on here, and I assume like a lot of that style comes from him to Travis Scott, and it's what he used to do for Kanye. And we should just say, like, for every episode, I'll write my notes for each song, and I'll write down the producers and the features, and this album is the hardest one I've ever had in the Stitch Gang era to transcribe the credits for.
Yeah, because it's at least like it's usually like a minimum of 3 producers credited per song.
Yeah,
it's kind of wild. Yeah,
and then you have and it gets up to like 7 or 8 producers on some, and then you have the writing credits, which are really interesting because they'll credit Kaida Prince or Mike Dean. Genius, I don't know what is going on, but Genius says that Genius gives Larry David a writing credit for No Bystanders. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe there was a sample or something, but
after you told me that, yeah, like I scoured the lyrics for like any potential references, but I couldn't figure anything out. I couldn't spot anything off the top of my head.
Yeah. Maybe Larry David wrote Tear the Club Up, and then he got a writing credit for this. So yeah, so lots of hands in this. I mean, Travis Scott he's a product of the system. I feel like when he first came out a while back, people were kind of like, I remember I was still on Tumblr at the time, and someone did sort of an investigation, and they came up with their best theory was that Mike Dean discovered this guy, and he's a Mike Dean guy, and Mike Dean is the guy who's pushing this person seemingly disproportionately to their talent. Because I would say Travis Scott might be the worst like top tier rapper there is. Like, if you think about all those guys that I mentioned who are like the feature, the A-list features, and you think about who's always at the top, maybe 21 Savage has a lot of features, but I wouldn't call him an A-list rapper. But of like all the A-list rappers, like, he's probably my least favorite. But he's got a lot of industry strength, and he's got big budgets, so he's big. I mean, there's been some like backlash against the Travis Scott backlash on Twitter lately.
Yeah, it's like kind of like some weird ass revisionism going on. It's interesting to see, honestly.
I mean, what I think is that like the people who like Travis Scott, this is considered his one of his, I mean, maybe his best album. I haven't listened closely to the other ones. And then I think some people who have been hating on him before are saying, yeah, this is actually a good record. And then the people who love Travis Scott are saying, whoa, welcome to the club, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, he made a good record. That doesn't mean like everything else before was good and that you were a genius, a man of great taste for loving Travis Scott before this.
And it's like, I feel like like a lot of people seem as though like they seem to inflate his influence upon Kanye West and predominantly his work on Yeezus. And like, because nobody can really point out how much influence he has outside of 2 production credits. And all I was able to find, because I've been curious about him and how influential and how like talented he is, because I've always like somewhat questioned it because he's, not the best rapper. And like I just don't understand how much he actually does produce of these records.
Not the best singer.
So I feel like a lot of that is just like lore, and his stands kind of like tend to perpetuate it, and now are like getting really annoying by saying, well, he's a legend. Like, Astroworld is his masterpiece, and it's really interesting, and it's funny that you make the Mike Dean comparisons, or at least the Kanye West comparisons, especially on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, because all I could think about, especially on the track Coffee Bean,
Yep.
when I heard the instrumentation, all I thought about was what song was it? Devil in a New Dress.
Yeah, exactly.
And how like the guitar tone and the solos are put together. And then
I don't even know if it's a guitar tone. It sounds like, because like on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it's like a vocal synth that sounds like a guitar, and then they kind of turn it down at the end so you hear that it's Kanye singing. And it's kind of the same thing here. It's Mike Dean, and he's doing the same thing here, but it sounds like such a retread. Like there's no soul to it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably why I like that song, probably because it sounds super familiar. I mean, outside of like, I don't know, I like the string swells on that album, on that song, but it's definitely like a Mike Dean work. That's
to me,
like
it just sounds like
sounds
like a retread. Like, what?
Oh,
what
yeah,
are the
most
other
definitely.
what other ideas? What other ideas for putting together like an album do you have?
And that's one of the main criticisms I hear against, like, that's a criticism I hear of Travis Scott, is just that he's like somewhat known as a quote unquote biter. But I mean, even then, it's like I feel like he's really good at like putting it all together. But like you said, a lot of it just happens to sound like something of a retread. There's nothing really specifically innovative about anything he does. I just think he's able to put it together better than a lot of other people that are attempting to be not as ambitious as he is, but just be ambitious in general. I think we've seen a lot of attempts at that this year, especially with A$AP Rocky's Testing.
Yeah, that would have been great. That would have been a great double feature to do, because that's in the same vein. We have like the weird features like Stevie Wonder allegedly, and James Blake. James Blake is not weird. James Blake is just another My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy retread.
And Tame Impala's on here, and I can't help but feel like he heard their song that Rihanna sang over and thought like, yo, I should do that. And then he just tapped Tame Impala to do it. Like, that's all I could think of when I heard that song. And Stevie Wonder turns in a beautiful harmonica feature, his best since his song with Babyface in the late 90s.
I mean, the Tame Impala thing, it's just like Travis Scott. It's so weird. I'm listening to this, and he references one time Coachella and one time Bonnaroo, and it's just a different world. This is meant for this is like album rap for people who like go to those kinds of festivals. Like weekend Travis Scott, Tame Impala is like they're like headliners at whatever festival you want to throw.
Like, he definitely knows who his audience is, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But so that in that way it's similar to Rocky, who had like some sort of like weird features on his record. And also just one of the things that's very Mike Deanish, maybe I'll say My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, like so Mike Deanish. I don't know if it's Mike Dean. I thought like the Juice WRLD feature to me is directly equivalent to the Chief Keef feature on what is it, on Yeezus, yeah, where it's like very short, and he kind of uses this artist as just like like a piece of his palette that he's painting. He's painting his own world with him. And it doesn't sound like the artist is autonomous or like deciding how, he didn't like listen to the record and put it down. He just like put down a verse, and then, Mike Dean or Kanye or Travis Scott moves it around to put it, and it just doesn't give you what's good about the artist.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's definitely not it doesn't sound like anything that Juice World has done that I enjoy.
Exactly.
It just kind of falls flat and it doesn't really add a whole lot to the track. And I was a little disappointed. When I first heard it, I was like, yo, this is cool. Like Juice World's on it, but it's nothing. It's not anything. It doesn't represent what I like about him in general.
And that same song, you have the
Is that The Weeknd on that?
no, that's the one with Sheck West where he's interpolating "Tear the Club Up."
Fuck the club.
Fuck the club up. So and that kind of like quotation is also, I mean, he's basically quoting 3-6 and quoting the sound of Juice World. And that kind of collage type effect is very evocative of the basically the art world respectability that Kanye goes for. Mm-hmm. And it really worked on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but here, I don't know. I just don't think Travis Scott has maybe like the charisma to bring it all together. Mm. And it's also been done already, so it's not novel either.
And it doesn't feel fair to the artist, especially as budding as an artist as Juice World, to kind of like feed him this like whatever track and have him not really be able to express himself over it. And whether or not that's Travis Scott's fault, I don't know, or whether like Juice WRLD had time to sit with it. I just feel like that kind of runs rampant, not only on this record, but other big releases that have come together this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, we mentioned Testing by A$AP Rocky, and I feel like that shit has that all over the place. And rather than like working to put together like a strong, cohesive, good album, they're all obsessed with how like eclectic and how many different pieces of the music world that they can draw from to make this project seem different than it already is, which is kind of just like a 70, 80 minutes of pandering to specific audiences. I don't know. And I think that's always been like my issue with Travis Scott, is like he doesn't really stand alone as an artist and like strongly.
I should have listened to Testing before this too, because that's like a really
it suffers from the same thing. And I saw an interview with Rocky where he like mentions having French Montana and somebody else on a track, and he just notes like, who else is doing that? And it's like, well, I feel like you could say that confidently if the song were good, but it's not.
Well, I think I think he was saying that who else has French Montana and Frank Ocean on the same album? Was that what he was saying?
It might have been, yeah. But it's just like, but regardless, it's like my sentiment is still the same. It's just like, yeah, that doesn't make the album good.
Yeah, and it's also not that weird. Like French Montana is a rapper. Really He's out here.
Yeah, and Frank Ocean exists in the same universe. Like,
yeah, I mean, it is weird to have.
There's nothing unique about it.
I mean, he had Moby and Skepta. Skepta is kind of out there. And then the weird Kodak Black feature over the phone. Which is also,
I still think he fucked up that feature. He could have done so much more with Kodak on that, but
I mean,
that's whatever.
I think he was kind of like, I felt that feature was kind of exploitative. It was like,
oh yeah, it's kind of like what we were just talking about with Juice WRLD and Chief Keef, mm-hmm. to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean that feature to me, it's like, we've heard the verse over the phone before, but it's usually just like, it's like a regular song and oh shit, it's Gucci Mane on the phone. But like this one, it's like, damn, I'm still connected to the streets, and like I'm gonna put this guy on. And it's just very isolated. It's mm-hmm. almost like a cappella, I think, on that track. And it's trying to like highlight that he's in. Oh, and it also has like the operator.
Mm-hmm.
So it's trying to highlight that this is from prison. Just
who does he think he is? Max B? Get out of here.
But yeah, A$AP Rocky also, he's from the East Coast, but he loves DJ Screw, and Astroworld, we get a lot of DJ Screw tributes. It's so weird that there's a song called R.I.P. DJ Screw featuring Sway Lee. It's like, you can find any other way to pay tribute. He wants to pay tribute, but it's like, yeah, but the music is just going to sound like a Travis Scott song.
And prior to this, like, I didn't know that he was actually from Houston, Travis Scott.
Yeah, he doesn't exist.
he's not a part of like that. It doesn't seem like he's part of that scene. I mean, I don't
No.
really know like what part he plays in it, but like, well, clearly he doesn't really play a huge one if I don't know he's from there. Like, it's not obvious. He doesn't have like that sound, but
Yeah.
he,
And there are no Houston rappers here except for like a Big Hawk sample who's from Big Hawk of Screwed Up Click. Otherwise it's just your regular features.
that all being said, what tracks on this album did you enjoy?
What there was one that was like my favorite well, I think, like I said, I think Gunna, that's probably my favorite part.
Oh yeah.
And apparently that song is just a remake of sort of a remake of Sold Out Shows by Turbo, who's a producer on Yosemite, and Gunna and Lil Baby. And actually that song is way better than anything on here. So
Mhm.
I would tell people to go
He
listen to
tends
that.
to do that too, like essentially just adopt songs as his own.
Yeah.
Because he did that on his last album with a song by K Forest,
Hmm.
and he pens it as Guidance.
Guidance by Pen
And I
4.
want to, yeah, it's the K Forest song is actually really good, and he just he like adopts it as his own and just puts his ad libs over it and raps a couple times.
He also basically just stole like Star's song with Young Thug, Pick Up the Phone, and then just
Yeah,
did it himself. And then he was just I don't have the timeline clear, but it seems like he just heard it, he did it himself, and then and then successfully put it out under his and Young Thug's name, and he could just do it because he's such a he's so much more powerful than Stara.
yeah, he was on the song on the Jeffrey record.
No, but with Pick Up the Phone, like there's a version that was recorded with Stara doing the
Oh
chords.
shit! I never heard that one.
Yeah,
I never heard that one.
She wrote like that whole thing, and then he basically covered it and then put it out.
Yeah, I knew she wrote it, but I didn't know there was a version with her on it.
Yeah,
That's terrible. Poor girl.
yeah. So yeah, he adapts things. Yeah, I mean, which whatever. I mean, that's kind of like what we're dealing with here. It's like we can talk about Travis Scott, but we're not talking about a specific person at any point,
Yeah.
unless we're talking
Yeah.
about the person who had a baby with Kylie Jenner or who performs at festivals as Travis Scott. If we're talking about Travis Scott, the artist on Wax, it's sort of an amalgamation of different things.
Because I never hear anybody talk about like anything he does as a solo artist. I hear about things he does well as outside of rapping. And even those things, it's not clear that he is actually solely responsible for it either. So
Yeah, he's got some shoes, right?
yeah, he's got some hot fours, some J's. He just dropped some. They re-released his Air Force Ones, but yeah, I mean, are there any other tracks that you liked?
Oh wait, I was trying to find the one that did I write? Yeah, that's like the best. But his verses in Sicko Mode, I thought were his best writing.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I like that song, but you know what? Like, and I guess it happens a few times on the record is like the beat switch ups.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're very sudden and very short. Like, especially in Sicko Mode, like his piece, like the beat he raps over is super cool,
Mm-hmm.
but it like ends after like a minute and then Drake starts. But yeah, I feel like the beat helps him perform a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I liked. I don't like Weeknd's part in this that much, but I like "Wake Up." His verse on that. I just wrote down the opening is like took the beltway down to your place. Said you was in the crowd. I didn't look. Like it's kind of it's very evocative and the details are pertinent to his life. He's a big like live guy. Like apparently his shows are pretty wild. And he talks about, the mosh pit and his love of the mosh pit.
And what I've noticed in like, I don't know if it's based upon what I've remembered from his previous releases, I don't think he's ever been as like sexual or had as much sexual content on his projects as he does here. because it's Wake Up's pretty sexual, NC-17's got some shit on it, and Houston Fornication has a lot on it. But with a name like that, would you expect anything less? You know?
I mean, all I get from it is that he is non-monogamous, and it's working out great. Part of the reason this doesn't ring as true for me as My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is that it's very sad music. You know, we have the Stevie Wonder harmonica and all the psychedelic tracks, and then just Travis Scott he has a pretty dark persona. Just the way he sings, like he can't really do like happy kind of music, but his music is very he talks about his lifestyle about a lot, but he doesn't talk about it in a way that it's a problem. Like, basically what I'm getting from this is that he's non-monogamous. It's working out great. Kylie's his baby mama. That's amazing. You're in a romantic relationship with a billionaire, a 20-year-old hot billionaire. Wow, amazing. You perform at Coachella and Bonnaroo and every festival pretty much. You talk to Bill Clinton. This stuff is all great. Like he has an amazing life, and he makes it very clear. But like the music is so dark. So like, and whenever he talks about his lifestyle, he doesn't talk about it as if it's a problem. He just describes it, and I'm like, oh, that's chill. Whereas, there's so much conflict in Kanye's work, right? Or
there's no problems. So like, I'm not like, it doesn't come across like he doesn't emote very well. Like, and it doesn't like he has lines that like indicate maybe some issues, but even then it's like they fall short, they fall flat. And I have a hard time believing any of it.
Yeah. I mean, the last song apparently is about his tumultuous relationship, Coffee Bean, but it's like, I don't know. It's not enough. And it's also not specific enough, Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even make up issues. He doesn't even talk about the haters or anyone or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, or talk about like, oh, it's hard growing up poor in Houston and now I'm rich. He doesn't even talk about that, which is like, a common theme in rap. There's like there seems to be zero conflict in his life. Yeah.
Well, there are rumors that his baby isn't his, so maybe we'll hear about that next time.
We're not that kind of podcast.
Yeah, the TMZ of the rap world did.
Yeah, this is not the Joe Budden show.
Actually, I wanted to talk about the song "Watch" that he had done with Kanye West and its exclusion from this album. Yeah.
Yeah, Watch featuring Lil Uzi Vert and Kanye, and produced by Pierre Bourne. Yeah,
literally all the ingredients for a really big song, and it's not included here. And you would think in this streaming age it would have been included to boost numbers, but
apparently it didn't perform well.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and I think they let me see. It was released as the lead single for this album.
Yeah.
And I think Travis Scott has quoted himself as saying that it wasn't released because it didn't perform well.
And frankly, it doesn't really fit the mood of the record anyway. Like, I feel like it would have really stood out. So it kind of makes sense, but I'm also curious as to whether or not there are underlying reasons for its exclusion.
But yeah, what's your favorite track on here?
Let me see here.
I do like to just go back to the Tame Impala one. I think I was surprised when I saw that was Tame Impala because it doesn't really stick out. I guess because a lot of the other songs have a psychedelic vibe, and I do like the production on that. The way
the instrumentation, I think, like revealed it as being a Tame Impala song, but I think that's only something you would realize if.
Yeah, I don't listen to Tame Impala. I don't listen to Tame Impala, so I don't know. And
but I feel like they did okay with it. Like,
it comes before another Weeknd feature, and I like this one much more. Like, I like the way because the Weeknd has such a like ghostly voice. I like how they like braided like Weeknd, Travis Scott, and Pharrell.
Because it's not like. It's not in the forefront, like it's kind of in the background.
Yeah.
Just there. It's kind of like his feature on the Trouble album,
Yeah, exactly.
in that
Yeah.
it's there, but it's not obvious. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not like, all right, stop, weekend. It's kind of
yeah.
going in
It's
and
not
out.
sicko mode where it's like, yeah, it's not like sicko mode where it's like dead stop Drake.
Yeah. So actually, I really like that song. Yeah.
So my favorite track is probably my favorite, mostly because of Gunna is Yosemite. I like Sicko Mode a lot. To be honest, I like after hearing so much like mediocre Drake, it's kind of it was I don't know what's different about it. I couldn't pinpoint it, and I didn't think about it enough, even though I wanted to like attempt to find why I found Drake more like tolerable in this particular setting. But overall, I like that song. And what's the song with Don Toliver? Can't Say. I like Can't Say a lot.
Oh yeah, you've been
Just
you've
the
been singing that a
melodies.
lot.
Yeah, yeah, you've heard me like singing it around the house just now. So yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I mean, the Stevie Wonder feature was interesting. I don't know if we caught it in this recording, but I did mention that it's his best harmonica performance since the Babyface song he did in like the late '90s. I can't remember the name of it though. How Come, How Long, I think is the name of it. He was singing in the rain.
Nutted on her cheek. Now her nickname is Babyface.
Oh, we wanted to mention that. 21 Savage, dude. That's actually one of the few lines I remember from this album. It's a 21 Savage line.
Yeah.
BYOB. Bring your own buy your own boobs.
Buy your own boobs. I thought that I heard that as buy your own booze at first, and I was like, does Travis Scott not know what BYOB stands for? But no, he was making a joke about.
And one thing I also wanted to make note of is that Butterfly Effect, while it's been out for like almost a year now, and prior to my like listening to this album, I thought like, why are they including Butterfly Effect? That song's old as fuck, but it actually fits in pretty well considering like it fits the vibe of the album. And so it's not like,
I thought that fit in too well. I actually noted that like when it came on, like you can't tell. I couldn't tell any difference between the beat from before and this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, the Migos features, it's kind of a cliche to say people are sleepwalking through features, but man, like it sounds like it. Like,
yeah, dude, they really phoned that one in.
Yeah, it was like they're sharing a verse, and then it's just Quavo doing Quavo, and then Takeoff just goes after, just like riffs on what he said. Like I think Quavo was like, shoot you like Cupid in your amygdala or something, and then Takeoff's like, shoot the intruders, and then just kind of like freestyled, and then that's it.
I actually skipped that song quite a bit.
Yeah, it's so weird though. It's like, come on, man. I mean, I guess you gotta have Migos on there. Or I wonder what happens in like rap, like when can you like commission a feature and then be like, it's so whack, I don't want to put it on. But then can you just be like, yo, I don't want to pay for this? Or do you
like, I'm not going to use this. Like,
yeah.
I wonder if that's the thing.
Yeah, can you be like, hey, there's no room for this on this song actually, and then like not pay? I don't know. Because I always think like with some whack features, it's like, maybe they just used it because they couldn't get their money back, or maybe they did like it.
Well, I mean, I think it's like for any big rap album, I think you absolutely need a Migos feature at this point. Yeah. Like it's almost imperative.
You need some combination of Drake, Migos, and The Weeknd.
And they're all here.
They're all here. All the stars. I mean, if you had Kanye would have been a pretty unique feature. I mean, he doesn't show up a lot on the major shit.
But I feel like you get enough of the Kanye experience as it is.
Yeah, you know, it's like Kanye's all over this. If you came for Kanye, you get a little bit.
That being said, I did like Coffee Bean as well, but mainly because it's so like reminiscent of classic Kanye, mainly just due to the instrumentation and whatnot, which I enjoyed. I think I enjoyed that most of all. Like I said earlier, I don't pay attention to Travis Scott as a lyricist, unfortunately, and that's probably just like me being that's probably unfair, but it's just a personal preference. It's like I don't go to Travis Scott for lyricism, you know?
I think it's fair. I think he's all about a vibe, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's good at creating it. You know, he's a good curator, and he should probably just do that. Like maybe be a producer or something.
Yeah, he can make beats
I don't know.
apparently. Engineer, make beats.
He tries
Um,
to sing on shit. He always raps on shit.
but yeah, I mean, this kind of makes you think of I mean, I don't know, we do a podcast about rap albums, but I don't know, like is there like an art rap album? Is there going to be another what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, is there going to be another format for the and artistically ambitious rap album after My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, or is that the only template? Because I feel like ASAP Rocky's album was also in that vein.
Hmm.
I mean, and not to say that there haven't been good albums since then, but this is kind of like its own its own genre, you know.
Yeah, like the epic artsy rap
Yeah,
album.
what's the epic?
Like,
What's going to be the epic artsy album that doesn't exactly follow the Kanye script?
yeah, and what does that sound like? You know, is it like a callback to that sound, or is it going to be something like more abrasive? That's like more like I don't know, avant garde. Like because My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is like artistic in a somewhat traditional sense,
Mhm.
whereas Yeezus was like more abrasive and avant garde, but still contain like a lot of the elements of I don't know, traditional elements of rap music. So I mean, and that's a good question to ask, and I feel like a lot of people are maybe attempting that. Like I think ASAP Rocky definitely tried, but ultimately failed. Um, I don't know. I mean, like as far as big rap albums are concerned, I don't know. I mean, I think there are plenty of like smaller rap artists like doing artsy stuff very well. Um, take Ka for example, whose new album I really like. It creates a lot of like a lush environment, and
Mhm.
I think is probably one of my favorite albums this year. But as far as like big rappers are concerned, yeah, I don't know if that like they see the Kanye blueprint and like go for that, or if like I don't know, like is it just because of who's involved in big music these days that they all sound the same, or
I think Rocky and Travis Scott both follow that blueprint. Maybe there's no art. Maybe like there's no. I don't know. I also like really like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Like maybe
oh
someone
yeah, mm-hmm.
who doesn't like it as much is would say like we don't need to get beyond that because like that wasn't that cool. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than this, like when you have like the, man, it is kind of cool that he did try to do this and he didn't do the stream spamming like Migos and Drake, and he still made it to number one
Yeah,
even with that.
yeah, yeah. It's not 25 tracks.
Yeah, I prefer this to the epic the like epic double album
The
attempts.
Scorpion epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say, are we basically alluding to the fact that Death Grips is here to save us?
Oh yeah, we thought about reviewing that. I haven't listened to it, but we could just review it and then
That's when we get Fantano on the show.
yeah,
Death Grips enthusiast, Anthony Fantano.
we should just cut clips from Fantano's review and then pretend that he's talking to us.
Create a soundboard, an Anthony Fantano soundboard.
Well, we could just use all his reviews of Death Grips, and then we'll put featuring Fantano, and then we'll get all the downloads.
There we go. Fuck
Damn.
yeah.
Next episode, on the next exciting episode.
But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, and the thing I've had to like, throw in my, my little thoughts about Travis Scott when I discuss it with friends of mine because, Travis Scott's a rather large figure in rap music. So it's kind of unavoidable to like, his music's unavoidable. And it's like, it's not that I don't like Travis Scott. It's just that like, he just exists there and I would rather listen to something else. And he can put together an album. That's all I can say that.
Yep, I would also rather listen to something else. Yeah, he looms large over rap, so I think for our purposes, it's been an important discussion to have. Yeah, I mean, but like I don't. I guess we hinted at it, but other than that, like what everything else aside, like the whatever industry figures are behind him and the features and stuff, like who is Travis Scott? I don't even know. I mean, to me, he's sort of he's sort of man. He's like someone who was created to like headline festivals and be like a happy rapper that everyone's into. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like a party guy, you know.
Yeah, I yeah. I mean, all his like um yeah, all his shit that's like kind of party stuff. Like the the smoking hella weed I'm on that alcohol, like that line to me, it's so generic. Like you'd always like how like rappers, there's like a million names for weed. Like if you say weed, you're just I don't know. You can't think of any.
Well, it's gas now, right? Gas is the new one, right?
Yeah, but
Smoking
gas
gas,
gas
high
is
gas.
too obtuse for the Coachella audience. It's either, I don't know if he's dumbing himself down on purpose or to appeal to more people. But I think that line kind of encapsulates like him for me.
I think he's just a guy who knows his audience real well and is very observant of who likes him.
Hmm.
And and now that he has like so much pull that he's able to construct pieces of work that will work with them.
Hmm.
And I don't want to like criticize Travis Scott fans and say they're all stupid or whatever, but like I think he just really knows his audience and does like the bare minimum to appease them. I don't know.
Right.
He's like Drake in that sense where he knows what his audience wants. So he's going to put out
Hmm.
like a nice for what, and then he's going to follow it up with something else, like he knows his audience. But
I guess when we're talking about people like Drake and Travis Scott, who, I mean, they're both I guess infamous now for not writing their own stuff, and Drake is also someone who just adapts different styles, to suit the moment. I guess when we're yeah, I mean, the thing is that they're not creating anything.
mhm.
Like who is Travis Scott influencing? I mean, he's whatever. I don't want to get too negative, but
Yeah. I mean, it's like the criticism is just like it seems like
Mhm.
pointless to criticize him too.
Yeah,
Like
there's no
I don't know.
point. There's no point really doing it. I mean, the shocking thing, the weird thing to me is that just he's so big, but there's like almost nothing there. Like the cover of Rodeo is kind of cool, like the action figure,
Oh yeah, that's super cool.
because I
Yeah.
feel like yeah, he's kind of like a manufactured kind of toy that you can play with. Watch him
But
jump off
like
stage. Wow.
watch him hold a microphone stand above his head. I can't wait to use that GIF when I tweet about this episode.
Yeah.
But I will say that he is responsible for not so much directly, but he has on days before rodeo, he has two of the better like Young Thug performances. I will say that like Skyfall is rad and Mamacita is like a classic track.
Hmm.
I feel
Wait, you mean the Young
so.
Thug performances on his songs
Yeah,
are great?
on Travis Scott songs. Yeah,
Right, right. Yeah, so I feel we have, I don't know. This is a little unsatisfying for me in the end, but I just
yeah.
think maybe that's just the nature of trying to pin the Travis Scott, the figure of Travis Scott down. Maybe there's no
Mm-hmm.
doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
But I feel like eventually this conversation in the context of our podcast, like it needed to happen at some point
yes,
because
yes.
Travis Scott's unavoidable. And I feel like it was time that we sat down and had an honest conversation. No more of this passive aggressive shit. We need to hash this out, Travis Scott. And I feel like we're doing that now.
Yeah, we needed to have it out with him. Yes, yes. Who else is on the list? I think we need to talk about the weekend at some point.
Oh yeah, but I think at one point, like you could say that he probably was pretty good at some point,
Right. Maybe we could
and now it's just
do a
like a pop
whole.
artist.
Yeah, maybe when we talk about and I also think he's kind of peaked, maybe, right? Artistically and
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
popular. So maybe
Yeah,
whenever he puts out something new, we can talk about maybe everything.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry to get so. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I can see you now, and you look legitimately like worked up.
I
Like
don't know.
you visibly are disappointed.
I don't know. I try.
Uh,
These are um these podcasts. They're explorations. They're learning. They're expeditions. And I feel like we're just out at sea, and now we're just like, let's go back. Let's go back to shore.
yeah, yeah, for real.
I don't
Yeah,
think we
yeah.
found Travis Scott. Maybe he never existed.
Oh shit! This is like the end of Saint Elsewhere. We're
Yeah.
just gonna figure out it's just a figure of our imagination, you know?
Yeah. Maybe there's oh yeah, maybe the person in the Travis. I don't. Whatever. Yeah. So
Astroworld is but a snow globe in my hand, and it actually never really happened.
yeah. So that it's been real. That's been Stitch Gang Part 22. Follow us on Twitter at Stitch Gang Pod. Subscribe on whatever you're using. There's a new Google Podcast app, so check out that. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I mean, if you're listening, you probably have your own app, but yeah, subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a friend who loves Travis Scott, and then you can trick them into listening to this. Maybe. We'll see you. We'll see you soon. I think we're gonna do maybe a grab bag next. So
Yeah.
we're gonna. I would like to get back to doing. We're back. We're back. We're gonna start doing more shit. All right.
Until Frank leaves the country again.
Yes. Actually, yeah. I'm leaving in November, so I'm gonna try to go full throttle. All right. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.